welcome to Tunnel Talk, and No Facts, All Feelings Wrestling podcast on the Social Suplex Network. I'm Allie.
I'm Ann.
And I'm Leah.
How's everyone doing? I thought you were going to say something else.
Yeah, there's like kind of a weird vibe. You made this face and I guess that was fine.
It is, I guess, we have to give her credit that like the last, I think 6 weeks I've said, and I'm Leah, and then immediately launched into a critique of whatever she'd just done. And I had no critiques to offer, so.
Wow.
You looked like you were really considering whether you did, and then came to the conclusion like, no, that was a good job. So just let her go. But you're right,
No
I wasn't
praise,
used to that.
but it was adequate. So.
How are you guys doing this week?
I just got over being so mega nasty sick. And in fact, if you hear a frog in my throat, enjoy. These two had to deal with so much whining over the past week.
You weren't happy.
I was not
a happy
happy.
camper.
No.
Yeah, you just posted a video to our group chat of making like a sound for like 10 seconds. Which I loved.
I sent one to Sarah too. I was just straight up like, I am the saddest person that's ever existed, and you must tell me how brave I am for existing.
Honestly, I really appreciate it when other people are like super big babies about being sick, because this year especially, I've been self-conscious about how if I experience just even an iota of discomfort or pain, like bodily, sickness stuff, I lose my mind. I go like totally fucking crazy. And you guys have had to hear a lot of it because of the number of when I had the shingles last year.
Shingles, your double ear infection.
I had my double ear infection.
Did you have another baby
my
ailment?
No, it was my viral, rando viral infection that wasn't COVID, but then it was the double ear infection was the baby ailment, and shingles was the old person. Oh,
that's right. Really not getting a lot of illnesses appropriate for your age.
No,
yeah.
I don't think I should be getting any illnesses. I think I should be hale and hearty. Instead, I'm so sickly. But I saw this woman's TikTok that she did recently about her COVID protocols that she does now. Just if she was at an event, she's running saline up her nose, and they've got these nasty little sprays that are supposed to help kill bacteria in your nose, or viruses, and they seem like they. Based on the the data, they work pretty well, but it's just it feels like. Why was I explaining any of this? Just that I got some of them to try and not get sick. When you shoot it in your nose, it feels like you're shooting sugar water into your sinuses. Basically, it was really absolutely rank stuff, but it's supposed to be good for keeping you not sick. Maybe. The reason I got the stuff was because she said that her boyfriend hasn't gotten sick from anything in 4 years because of it. And I was like, okay, I've got to be like him.
And now, the vitamin supplements are also gonna
That's true.
Guys,
fix everything, I think.
Okay, the listeners need to know that I went to my doctors, and they did blood, and she called me this morning, and she said, you are low in all of the vitamins that affect mental health. So I think that I'm going to start taking a multivitamin and be entirely fixed.
Honestly, I think literally just hearing that would fix me. I think hearing someone say, you don't have the vitamins for mental health, I would be like, I'm a fucking new woman, baby. To know that this is caused by vitamins.
Just to be like, oh, so all I have to do is take more B12 and I won't be like this? Hell yeah.
I hope that you stay a little like this, because I like your personality pretty good.
That's so nice.
No, it's gonna change the whole personality. Taking a little vitamin D, she's gonna be totally different.
I'm gonna be coming on this pod like, girls, you know what makes me happy? Everything.
Maybe D stands for Dave Meltzer, and that's who your new personality will be.
She's gonna show up to this podcast after taking vitamins and be like, guys, the business, the ratings, the TV deal.
Okay,
Demon.
Enough about showing whole. What we need to talk about is showing ticket sales.
It's hard to be number 2, Leah says.
So hard
Show
to be
me the
number 2.
whole map of the arena so I can see how many seats are left.
I'm counting them by hand. This is what's fun for me.
Oh God, don't let that happen to you, Leah. If that's what the B12 does, you have to stop. You have
Those
to stop.
of us who
B0.
are rich in B12, we just can't help it.
No, well, you're gonna have to then not be rich. You'll have to continue to be poor like the rest of us.
This conversation is like suggesting that Dave Meltzer is rich in the vitamins of mental health, and I'm not sure that's the case.
I think he would be quite startled to hear that.
I think he would, yeah. I don't think anyone's accused him of that before.
So true. You're right. I was wrong. I was wrong to say that. I was wrong. I guess I was just like,
Thank you for your apology.
If we're ill in our minds, what's the opposite of what we are?
I mean,
and I got
certainly
to Dave.
true.
So
yeah,
I think that there may be this might be a more complicated math problem than we realized.
Dave is happy, probably, though. Don't you think?
Well, you must imagine Dave Meltzer happy, of course.
Doesn't he have like a girlfriend now, and people are like saying that he's much happier with the girlfriend? Should I speculate about the personal life of a man that I do not know?
With the vitamins, we'll find love, mental health, and statistics.
You've been hanging out that you know that people are speculating about the comparative happiness of Dave Meltzer with his current girlfriend and his past wife. Am I in those spaces?
I won't answer that on the basis that it could incriminate myself.
She's in secret wrestling spaces.
Hey, Leah, I'd like you to produce your internet records, your history for the court.
Aren't we not a free country?
I'd rather die.
I'd rather just admit to the murder. I like that I started to say I'd rather just commit the murder.
Yeah, I'll commit it, no problem. Yeah.
I'd rather just kill Dave Meltzer.
God, censor this.
I think Dave would not enjoy having been the subject of the top 9 minutes of our podcast.
I don't think he'd like anything we've said, but I don't think he's likely to hear it. He really only watches wrestling.
Surely not.
So where's he going to encounter this? I doubt it very much. Okay.
It doesn't seem like he hangs with the demographic that would be listening to us. So.
Not that lot of crossover. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say about your personal lives or anything before I get to this wrestling? This is what I have to do now that the happiness check-in has been taken from me. I have to say things like, is there anything you want to disclose about your personal life?
This is like the closest you've gotten to y'all done here in a while.
Anything else you'd like to disclose, ladies, while we're here, I guess?
Well, no answers from either of you.
We are doing a constant health check-in, though, as you bring it up. Like, really, for our Patreon content.
What are we doing? Yeah. We have to share how we feel.
Yeah. But no, I don't have any more disclosures to make, so.
Got a pretty good grade on my physical, so I'm good. It's really all I had to disclose this time.
Well, in a way, you got a bad but revelatory grade.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You got a bad grade, but it means that you'll be able to get a good grade in future.
That's true. Hey, that's true. When I get those Dave Meltzer vitamins.
That's what we're calling them now. The vitamin D, B12, and folate. Those are the Dave Meltzer vitamins.
Dave Meltzer vitamins.
Yeah, wait, D for Dave, B Bryan Alvarez. Oh. What is the other one? Folate?
Folate, yeah. It doesn't have an easy.
Folate? Is that anything?
I love it.
That's a man, right? Mick
Foley? It is.
That's a man.
Yeah.
It's both nothing and everything.
Perfect.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, then on that note, I think we can get into the rest. We can safely get into the rest.
Speaking really of good Mick Foley.
Speaking of Mick Foley, Mox opened Dynamite. Speaking of one man, another man.
Speaking of men who are mentally healthy, Mox was here.
You actually have to go to school to get this good at podcasting. Okay, Mox opened Dynamite with a promo about how I I think he was like, you all think this is fake, but it's realer than you could ever know. And you'll learn soon enough. And Bryan Danielson is a really powerful dragon and he's fun. But then when you back him into a corner and poke, prod, and provoke him, he becomes frightening and something truly terrible. And then he said, Bryan's never been truly comfortable with that part of himself.
But what I found so interesting about that is that he was kind of in this voice where he's like, and I'm doing it specifically because I want to be attacked by the dragon. That is, I want to be murdered in the corner.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. He made Bryan Danielson sound cooler than Bryan Danielson has ever made himself sound. Yeah. And also, like, I'm sexually quite interested in what's going on between the two of them, you know?
It is like Mox realized that their marriage had cooled off. And he did something absolutely insane to get Bryan sexually interested in him again. And it worked.
He did. I don't know what happened the last few weeks, but it's like Mox woke up and then he woke Bryan Danielson up too. So,
my God, the old gods are rising and they're horny for a change. Finally, they're horny again. I just love anytime I'm told that a man is not truly comfortable with some part of himself. To me, that's like the awooga gif. Like my tongue rolls out of my mouth, my eyes pop out of my head. Like I'm panting like a little dog. Like, tell me more. Uncomfortable with some part of himself.
Tell me about all the parts of himself that Bryan Danielson's not comfortable with.
I pray to God there are more. We did get a Danielson response promo that I think was not as... I thought it was a really good Mox promo.
Yeah.
Actually, and especially on rewatch, when I was a little more with it, I was like, this is quite sensical. Aside from not really understanding like what like the like you'll all learn vibes are about yet. You know?
I know they're filming them really cool though, and then Mox is really like suddenly back and like giving a lot of energy to these, which is delightful.
He didn't drop any more. There's a secret, man behind the curtain references. So
no,
I think that's another point towards. I think it's just a metaphor.
Fingers crossed.
I don't remember that much of the Danielson promo. I think it was perfectly serviceable.
It was. He was like, it wasn't anything. He didn't say anything about parts of himself that Mox isn't comfortable with, so that was a big disappointment. But but he seemed mad, He like seemed energetic, and so that was a big win.
There's a little life in that old dog, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
taking that back just yet.
He kind of ruined it today when he was like, by the way, I'm so beaten and broken. Who knows what will happen to me? And I was like, okay.
Oh, did he say that?
He's addicted to giving these interviews where he's like, I'm just an old dog who wants to go home.
Yeah, but Tony won't let me. Tony says the house needs garden, boy.
He's like, my neck got fucked up in that match with Ospreay, and I've been injured ever since, and I just every day, he didn't say this part, but every day I call Tony and I say, please Tony, may I rest? And Tony says no.
May I rest? Well, then he's out there working. My neck got fucked up in that match with Ospreay. Okay, well, you forgave him for that live on TV. Okay, then so Danielson Yuta versus Claudio Pat closed out. It was Title Tuesday this week, and it was from for me 8 to 10, for you guys from 9 to 11. Could it be?
Yeah, it's too late.
It didn't. I didn't do well.
And it ran over, right?
Leah at a certain point, it ran like 10 minutes over. There was a 10-minute overrun. Yeah, and I feel like Leah at like 10:30, you were like, I took some NyQuil, and Tony's really on a clock here, and then we kind of didn't hear from you again for the rest of the episode.
I was wondering if you noticed that.
I did notice that. Yeah, I was like, oh, we lost her.
Mama fell asleep in the middle of the match. I didn't make it.
Oh my God. I know we say this pretty often, honestly, but it was not like the best your girls have ever done watching a Dynamite. I was in a meeting this week where like I was there for an hour and like nobody understood anything that anybody else said for the entire hour. And like 40 minutes in, I was like, not to be rude and with love and as part of the problem, this is the least impactful meeting I've ever been in at this company. Like, we're not nobody, guys, you have to admit none of us know what's going on. And they were thankfully like, you're so right. None of us do know what's going on. That was us watching Title Tuesday, I'm afraid.
Yeah. It was.
We were talking about things in the chat and then all asking the same question about them again 5 minutes later. It wasn't clicking.
It's so true. Our friend Nicole was like on this journey, and she just kept saying Jeff Jarrett's name for reasons I wasn't comprehending. And then like a half an hour later, I was like, "Who's on commentary right now?" And she's Jeff Jarrett.
And she did preface her whole journey with, "Is that Jeff Jarrett on commentary?" ? And then she went on the journey for 20
Jeff
minutes.
About someone on commentary. Who is the Jeff? Oh, is it Jeff Jarrett? Yes, now I've seen him. It's Jeff Jarrett. And he is like hopping in 20 minutes later, like, what the fuck is Jeff Jarrett doing here?
Literally, I was like, it's so crazy that Nicole keeps talking about Jeff Jarrett. I wonder why she's thinking of him.
So
Nicole's gonna listen to this later. Nicole, you love Jeff Jarrett.
I wonder why he's on her mind. Okay. Well, anyway, so this match, I think we might have missed quite a bit of it, to be honest. But what I have here is that Mox came out mid-match, kind of to, distract. Yuta stopped the PCC from cheating. Danielson pinned Pac for the win, and then immediately ran after Mox, and they were fighting, and they fought their way into the backstage. While in the ring, I guess during the match, Claudio had been trying to be kind of a little respectful of Yuta, but then the gloves came off, and he and Pac, they just hammered Yuta in his
with a literal hammer. Yeah.
With a literal hammer. Manolo kept saying midsection, but I would say penis.
Penis violence. It's penis violence.
It was penis violence. It was more of that classic penis violence.
He'd double over, and then Claudio would get him back up, and Pac would just drag him back to his feet, and then he'd penis hammer him again.
He said, "You will never have children in this town again."
And meanwhile, backstage, I thought it was really funny. Did you notice this part where Danielson, he threw Mox against a door, but you could kind of clearly tell that Mox threw himself against the door, and then Mox came kind of bouncing off it, and then he just did a somersault, but the momentum was not enough to make it look like the somersault was on account of the being thrown, which I love. I love when they botch things and then just a man does a somersault for no reason. I find it so delightful. A man throws himself into the wall and then turns back around and somersaults. Wow. What?
Sometimes wrestling really is just like a child in a ball pit, just getting their zoomies out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. When Darby showed up at that kid's birthday party, do you think he was hired to be at that kid's birthday party?
I don't know, because the tweets kind of implied that it
he just showed up. But then I was like, did he show up for his birthday clown money? That $250 of an indie booking?
How much do you think Darby would charge to show up at a trampoline park?
I think it's what he wants to do for fun. Yeah.
Right.
The thing is that I hope none of our wrestlers have to get paid birthday clown money for birthday parties, but it's so sweet to think about Darby being yeah, it's kind of fun to meet the kids and you teach them how to do a coffin drop. So of course I'll do that. Those videos were so cute.
Extremely.
All right. What do we have here? Oh, Danielson eventually came back and saved Yuta after applauding Mox's somersault. What do you guys think about the what do you think about the current trio sitch now that Yuta has been dickhammered by his colleagues?
His trio's partners. Yeah,
I love it. Haven't we asked for this?
We've begged for it, I think.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about it.
This feud is kind of giving me lots of stuff I like, which I'm loving it. Startling. Yeah, but even the fact that they did a little lead up match with the two people from each faction, having a little intro match before the pay-per-view match. I feel we used to do that all the time, and now we kind of don't always. So
we have gotten less and less of the mix and match stuff, except in the world of the conglomeration who fought the unrequited kingdom. Not right.
Let's call them that. I love that.
Who fought the unrequited kingdom again this week? I thought that feud was over.
I thought it was long over.
They literally went to a key party and did a feud swap. We can't go back.
just locked in eternal conflict with so many mid-card teams. It's crazy.
Anyway, they do their mix and matches, but you're right. We haven't gotten them nearly as much in these higher level feuds. So I agree. It was really nice. It's nice a good
when there's
plot bit.
Yeah, when there's a feud where it's like multiple people have multiple interesting emotional like relationships to each other. Like, yeah.
I do hope that Yuta, Claudio, and Pac have to fight at least one more match as trios champs while they hate each other, because they've only done it once and it was so fun.
I'm actually, the one thing that I'm really worried about and trying not to like, get ahead of myself and assume is that I'm so worried that they're just going to somehow have him not be in that trio anymore. And
well, the thing is that they established with the Bang Bang Gang that you can't swapsies.
Oh,
so
thank God.
That is true.
Interesting. God.
So they have to lose it together or be stripped.
Oh my God.
It will be exciting too if like Danielson loses the belt and then, is sent to the farm where old dogs go, at least for a while. Yeah. But then Yuta doesn't even have an ally and he's just in those trios with these men who've crushed his penis over and over.
Well, I know. People were speculating that he's going to turn on Danielson in the end because for that reason that like Danielson can't protect him for like once he goes over the Rainbow Bridge. But I kind of hope he doesn't because I don't necessarily want the BCC to stay together.
No,
with
I feel like it's
swap.
Juicier for like a sad Yuta to go off on his own and have to forge a path.
He has to have a little buildings Roman. He has to go out there in the world on his own
or he could go crawling back to Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor,
He could, but OC doesn't even remember who Chuck is.
Chuck Taylor died. He's gone.
He went over that Rainbow Bridge.
Oh my God, guys.
With Bryan Danielson.
He's with Bryan Danielson now. Peacefully on a shield and his buried in the backyard.
Who did we get such a well-behaved surgery update from this week?
Oh, little Trent Beretta.
Best son. Our best son,
our only
Greg.
good son. Thank you, Greg.
He showed us a little picture of his scar.
He literally tips his head back, shows us a picture of the scar, lets us know how the healing's going. That's all we need. It's just one little tweet. It's under 180 characters.
Yeah, sometimes he'll post his MRIs and stuff. Like, that's the kind of medical information I like to see from my sons. Just tell me what the doctor said, buddy.
Some sons could do it a tenth of what Greg does. They would be celebrated just as excitedly. So that's not on topic here, though, really. Any other thoughts on Brian Mox? WrestleDream is this weekend. It's this weekend.
Wild. Yeah.
It's like Saturday. Basically tomorrow. 2 days now. I mean,
you
saw it yesterday. Fuck, you saw it yesterday.
Yeah, we're in another of our classic fucked up podcast situation. Lame duck podcast.
Oh no,
God,
I forgot about that.
I know.
Wow.
Well.
Oh, they got our asses. All right. Well, okay. You saw WrestleDream yesterday. We haven't seen it yet.
It's Thursday here, so.
And anyway, so what do you think? We can't say what we think will happen. I mean, I think Brian's going to go to die. I think he's going to
die on his shield.
Just a question of how. It's just a question of whether he dies clean, I
am feeling kind of psyched about it, though. I think it'll be fun.
Can't wait to see him die. I think it'll be a good match. I think it'll be a sexy match.
I think it'll be really sexy. I think they'll get into some emotional juiciness physically, which I like.
Yeah. And maybe even some wet kissing. Who knows?
If you're going out on your back, you should do it with some wet kissing for sure.
For sure. I think that's said by many people.
Yeah.
I wonder if we will see a man on his back.
I know.
Never seen it.
We might have seen Chuck Taylor go out on his back, but
that's true. Yeah.
We don't know for sure yet.
And we won't know for sure with Brian because everyone says he's coming back. And we've said, I didn't even mean it like maybe a surgery won't work. I was just like, maybe he'll be sleepy and he won't want to, but we don't know if he'll come back.
No.
We don't know the future.
So true.
Did you guys need me to tell you that? Okay, let's move on. Darby Allin fought Johnny TV on Collision and won. And then he reiterated his open challenge in the ring, saying, that's what I thought, because no one came out. That's what I thought. A locker room full of complacent people. Nobody's going to step up. But then Brody King came out and attacked him and said, I accept WrestleDream, just violence. Okay.
And Darby said later, you could have just asked me nicely and you could have had the match, which is extremely funny. It's an open challenge.
You literally just have to raise your hand. Okay. So then they had an in-ring segment on Dynamite this week. Darby cut a promo, and Brody told Darby that he's probably going to go die on Everest and said that Darby needs someone to save him from himself. And Darby said, why wait? Put me out of my misery. Take my spot. Take my spot. And then he threw himself into the corner of the ring and started barking like Brody does. And then I guess hit him with a rock. I didn't notice that, to be quite honest.
He did. Brody started bleeding and everything. Pretty exciting.
I saw them fighting and I saw the blood, but I think I might have missed the moment of the rock.
The rock wasn't super obvious because it was kind of like gray and in the background. When Darby started barking, my dog, who was sleeping like a little angel, put her head up and was like, what the hell is that? Like she had the weirdest look on her face.
So true, girl.
It's like, I know. Yeah.
What do you guys think of the matchup, and what did you think of the promo segment?
I'm obsessed with Darby's promo style right now because he's so manic, and like his energy has just been so insane because he hollers. Sometimes I don't really like when I'm being yelled at usually, but Darby is so clearly like just like hollering because he's so full of energy that it can't come out any other way, that it's fine to me.
And he sometimes gives the impression that like he has to shout to remember the things that he decided he was going to say. And this was kind of an info dump promo from him too, where somehow like what was the line in there where he was like, this was before ROH was purchased by Tony Khan. And it was like, okay, we're in like a kind of a Silmarillion epic introduction right now where you're like telling me like the history of ROH.
And it had like a real like Grandpa Simpsons vibe too, which was the fashion at the time.
Exactly right. It was but he was just like really fast and manic, just be like, this is really before Tony Khan bought ROH. It's like, okay, baby, you're just info dumping now. So just cool it.
He really has the energy of like a man on a bus, and he's shirtless and you don't know what's happening, and like you don't feel real like safe around it, which I think is a great energy for a wrestling promo where you're just like, is this like drugs or is it mental illness or like should somebody do something, or probably not, but I mean I was not excited just seeing the match announced ahead of this. I was like, oh, Brody, Darby, whatever. But after this promo, I was like, oh, I'm interested. Like, Brody as an opponent is doing something to Darby, and apparently they have all this history. Like, Darby seemed very excited for this man to throw him around.
He really did. He wanted to get in there and like get to it. I mean, that's the other thing about his promos is that like they always really feel his in-ring promos. They always really feel like he was like, Tony, I want to jump off something really high. Can I do that? And Tony's like, yes, if you get 3 in-ring promos first. And so he's just like, fuck, I gotta get this fucking promo. They're gonna make me do it or I can't jump off anything. So it's like he really was just like speed running it to be like, and then luckily we'll get to hit each other with rocks. Thank God.
He was talking so much faster than even his usual promos, which are pretty unhinged. Like, I was very entertained.
Yeah, I agree that I wasn't excited for the match, and when I realized it was going to be Brody, but I thought this was a good segment. Well, no, I won't say it was a good segment, but it was an entertaining segment. And there's kind of a differentiation there.
Yeah, there 100% is. There's so many people who described Darby's promo as bad, but they watched every single word and they remembered everything he said and they were riveted to the TV, which means it's not bad.
Yeah. It's like his promo last week was a good promo. This was a bad promo, but I couldn't get enough of it. I want to see 10 more just like it. I think it's like watching good reality TV, which is it's bad, but
I don't know if Mom Talk can survive this.
Exactly.
During my illness, I watched every single episode. And so I really, like, that is exactly the right thing where you're like, yeah, no, I'd watch an entire reality show of Darby. Would he come off good? No. But I would watch it.
And you'd be like, no one should ever go on a reality show. Like, look at the edit, what it's doing to him. But it's like, he don't care. I had only watched like part of the... I'm like 4 or 5 episodes into Mormon Wives, and like I was maybe 1 episode in, and someone else, we were talking about it in one of our spaces, and someone was like, oh, Whitney's evil. But it was at the point where you're like, Taylor's a piece of work, and Whitney's kind of seems normal. And then anyway, I've hit the part where Whitney is evil.
Oh, she is. Yeah,
evil,
she's
insane.
evil.
Yeah.
But I think she has her struggles in her life.
And I think she actually ends up in a better place than the rest of them do.
Like, I think she's not on the show anymore, which seems like a better place.
That is a better place for sure. Yeah.
She left mom talk behind.
You know, sometimes you gotta
leave mom talk behind. Sometimes.
Anyways,
leave mom talk behind.
I do think it is like we were saying last week with like, or the week before, where we were talking about like Darby taking the dare from Mox and giving up his title shot, and how everyone was like so mad about that. And it was like, yeah, it was stupid, but if it's in character, then it's fine. Like, people are allowed to make stupid decisions. It kind of feels like a cousin of that, where it's like, this is the promo that Darby would give. Like, sometimes I don't like promos when I become too aware that a wrestler is reciting something he's intending to like sell me. Like, it just becomes too seamsy. But like, that's not the case. Like, Darby is selling me on his character. Like, I believe that that's the promo that Darby would give. So therefore, it was a good promo for Darby to give. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was a very, like, specific for his character. Like, there is a thing where, like, a lot of wrestling promos end up seeming pretty samey. You know, like, they hit the same beats and they want whatever. And I feel like he said things in here that I guess are sort of in your general wrestling promo genre, but much of it wasn't. And the delivery certainly wasn't.
It's also kind of his special genre now, where it is now a facet of Darby's character that he's very fixated on who got who a job at AEW and whether they deserved it. And he brings it up quite a bit, which is obviously is not like really super interesting. No. I am a defensive dance mom now, where I'm like, I feel like nobody appreciated how good that promo was last week. And I wish that they had a little more to say about how he did really good last week on a lot of levels. But I would prefer to hear about Darby being like, I need to get stabbed to feel something than to hear him be like, and I got you a job and you like your job and it's good to have a job. But the delivery was so captivating. And you're right, it felt very genuine to the character. You're like, this guy is such a dummy sometimes, but it's just because all he really wants to do is fight and jump.
I do think that at the root of all of this is that Darby would prefer to never give a promo again.
Absolutely.
And instead, Tony keeps setting him out there. And so what happens. Like, I feel like he's like, if you don't like it, don't make me do it anymore.
You know, I wonder if, like, has his art film budget gotten reallocated to Jack Scapegoat Perry?
Oh, maybe.
Because I do think he would prefer to be doing art films, but I hope that they both agreed, like, okay, you can have the art film budget for a while.
Either I hope they both agree on that, or I hope it sparks a feud where sometimes Darby comes out and is like,
now that'd be a great wrestling feud.
Exactly.
What is the guy that they hired that used to make the videos on Twitter? I can't think of what his name is that everybody talks about.
Tiger Style Pro.
Tiger Style.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, I used to have his attention, and now you have all of his attention. And I think he likes you better than me.
I love that you've gone there, and I'm like, I think it should just be about the money. I think that Darby should be like, we have an art film budget of X amount per month, and we're supposed to share it. And then Jack's just being like, well, you never used to share it. You never used to just no one else wanted to make them.
Darby's like, I had a whole promo planned out, and then I found out it had all been blown on drones to film your bus from above.
You needed a whole camera crew at the dealership.
You were blowing it all in order forms that you were filling out, you know.
I was picturing a rehash of the like Pillars thing where they were like, Tony loves you, but instead it's this one random backstage guy that no one else knows, and it's just the guy who makes the videos, and they're like, Phil loves you more than he loves me.
Well, free idea. I just realized it really is so sad we don't have our gas station because the scapegoat bus could come to gas station.
Oh my God.
Scapegoat bus
Meta.
It could come fill up at the gas station.
Wow. Wow. The shot of like Darby or Jack on screen, and then it pans out and the person standing at the pump is Jack. Wow.
That's our opening credit sequence that comes up on the pumps before all the matches is like the skateboat bus driving up to our diesel pump, I guess, probably.
Well, I also just suddenly thought of our diesel. I
don't know why the idea of diesel just totally fucking sent me. I was like, we sell diesel?
We're a full service gas station.
I also suddenly thought about the Muppet movie where they have to, the classic like riding around America picking up all our friends. Mm-hmm. So maybe that should be the introduction is like the scapegoat bus is coming. Darby is skateboarding down the road and then he like hitches a lift on the back of the scapegoat bus. He grabs on and then it's pulling him and then we'll get other people in there somehow. We'll just have to discuss it over time as we see them with other, driving things, cars and such.
The bus drives up to the beach where like Kenny and the Elite are hanging out shirtless and then they all climb on the bus and
Thank you for mandating that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's our credit sequence. So I think we can do some art direction around it.
I can't wait for our credit sequence where we get the reenactment of the classic BTE bit where Nick Jackson said they got me on the damn bang gang bus. All right. Well, okay, good. Anything else about any of this? You've all seen it already, so y'all done here. Let's move on. Willow was supposed to fight Britt for a title shot with Mariah on Dynamite, but she couldn't make it to the show, so instead we had a 4-way match with Jamie, Nyla, Willow, and Saraya. We had some mid-match shenanigans, including Penelope Ford running out to whack Jamie with a steel chair. We have not seen her in a long time. Mariah was on commentary for the match. Willow won, and she and Mariah got in a fight on the ramp afterwards. What do you guys want to talk about?
I was so excited to see Penelope.
That's happy.
One of my old-timey girls. Love it.
One of my saloon girls.
No, I had almost forgotten she was still like went here, and so I was like, when I saw her, I was like so excited because she's been out injured like over a year, I think, right?
It's been a long time, yeah, and I think the bunny doesn't go here anymore.
No, I don't think so.
Tragic, so yeah.
But yeah, I actually was just looking at her Instagram very recently. Like within the past couple of weeks for some reason, being like, oh God, I hope we get to see her again someday.
Your third eye was wide open.
Well, maybe I can see the future.
It is interesting to me that the way that Jamie is coming back is so carefully not in any of the belt pictures. Like, so she came back and she was fighting with Saraya, and then she like left this match to chase Penelope. So I hope that they're like saving her because she is going to get one of these belt opportunities soon.
It has been like weirdly low key, like her coming back on the pre-show and then like, I don't know, they just like haven't had her promoing and stuff. And it feel like hopefully they are saving it for something good. Cause right now it just feels like, are you guys like, everybody loves Jamie Hayter and she's a good wrestler. Like what are we underplaying this?
Yeah. Well, it's hard though, because it's like, Mariah needs to be fed people right now, and they're like already like not really giving her enough defenses. So like it's like she can't go for Mariah now, and like I guess she could go for Mercedes, but maybe like they're just like if they want to do like something, if they want to do Kris first, I guess it makes sense that they're just not ready for Jamie to hit either of those. But like it is just I think the problem with the women's division just is that like. Very often I see myself like trying to connect like the dots a lot more than you do in the men's division because it's just like the seams are so much more obvious.
And we do have like it is a smaller division with less time. I mean, we've talked about that many times before, but it's like there are only a few like ongoing storylines that you can be like, oh, they could fit her in there, they could fit her in there,
Right.
or there's nowhere else. Whereas with the men, even though obviously sometimes it is like we have no men or we have no storylines, there's usually like quite a few things that technically you could be like, oh, you could send them there, you could send them there. So the options are just so much more limited. I'm not like mad. Like if I came back from a year away at my job, I don't know that I would want to be pushed for world champion immediately. Right. Like I might want to like ramp my way back up and like get back in the swing of things. I do think
and actually Britt has kind of struggled being made more a big deal of when she's a little rusty.
And they made Kris the belt holder the second she walked back, and that really didn't do her many favors either. So I don't know what maybe they're doing the right thing with Jamie. I don't know.
I think that we could see her talk a little more. Like I think it would be good to find opportunities for her to like have a voice and like not just wrestle. But I think the thing with Kris, like it really didn't feel as satisfying as you wanted it to for her to be gone and then come back and immediately be like, okay, now she's getting right back into the picture that she left. Cause you were like, well, I missed the build of the story. Like that was a while ago. So you do need to set up something new. And I don't really feel like she's got to get a belt on her right away. I just like want to make sure that they are like paying attention to she's a character that we want to present as like cool and interesting.
I feel like maybe they should like link her up with somebody who's in an ongoing title picture, like make her friends with Willow, or something like that. Not Willow necessarily, but just like give her something to do, at least hang around in promo segments or whatever. So
yeah. I mean, like she just needs. I mean, the last time we saw her, she was the heavy to Britt, and so like she was just like muscle, and so now like this go around she's doing this 70s like babe thing. It's like, who are you?
She does look so cool. I mean, we looks so cool, we have to reiterate that
right. like talk to me, tell me like what's happening with you, like maybe she could pull Tony into the 70s.
Oh my God, that would be
fun. Okay, I would love to see that. I know people would complain about it, but I'd love to see it.
Get him on some roller skates, get a little Charlie's Angels hair going on. Yeah.
Love it. So then Mariah's going to fight Willow, but for you, the listener, she already has. So what can we say about that?
Hope you enjoyed it, everyone.
I'm
so
sure
good.
it's going to be a really good match.
Yeah, I'm psyched
I don't
for
expect Willow to win, but like I think it's going to be a great match.
Yeah. Willow's been doing such good work lately. She's great.
She's been doing amazing work. Everyone is. I feel like I know it's overstating the case, but I'm like more people than I expected are like seem not happy with Mariah right now in a way that I've just been kind of like, can everyone please calm down? Can everyone please calm down?
Yeah.
And just let her try to operate.
Right.
I don't know.
I know. It's like everybody's so like eager. Like I do think that she should be wrestling.
I do.
Like a little bit more than she is. And like, but like, I think everybody's also so quick to judge, like everyone's so quick. I think it was because like they had such a good, it's the same thing that happened to Hangman in some ways, where it's like the build was so fucking good that nobody gave them a chance to pivot to something else. You know what I mean? Hangman never really got to pivot. And then like Bryan, like, never really like, I mean, it's complicated because clearly something happened with Mina. Like, is Mina not like coming after all or so? I don't know, but like
I don't know.
Everyone's just jumping down her throat, and it's like, okay, calm down.
It does feel like when there's like a culmination of a big story, it's like, well, you can't just turn in like the story has kind of concluded, and so you just need a beat, like, and naturally there's going to be a beat, and people don't seem to have any tolerance for that.
You need that kind of also though, and I think they did this, and this maybe speaks to like, I don't know what's going on with Mina, or like if that isn't like they aren't able to do something they thought they were going to do, whatever, but you need the season finale thing where it's like, we're going to wrap up something big, but in that same, 60 minutes, we're going to kick off something new, and they're going to overlap for, most of that episode. You need the 60-minute overlap where something is coming to a close and another thing is just starting.
Yeah. And actually, when Mina was here, it was working. Yeah. And it probably is some, visa issues or something like that. Like, I feel like, they just run into logistical issues.
And that's actually what they did with Jeff Jarrett too, except it's very funny to think about, like a season finale episode of like Buffy where it's like, yes, we beat the big bad, Swerve. I mean, Hangman was the big bad, but and we've skillfully set up the next big bad, Jeff Jarrett.
Which some seasons of Buffy were season 3 to season 4, kind of.
Yeah. But it's like, no, we just defeated the greatest evil, and our next one is Clay.
Okay. Also in the women's division, Kris cut a Rampage promo in which she said she's the biggest, toughest girl in the women's division. Did she call herself Born Again Kristen in this?
She did
this promo or last week?
Wasn't this all?
It was on Rampage, yeah.
Yeah. Because I saw that one. I didn't see the Collision one, but I saw the Rampage one. And the Rampage one, she was like, everybody in the back is whining about the spot and complaining about what they have to do. Do I complain? No. And I felt like the tone of it was also like, am I complaining about what I'm doing right now, which is stupid? No, I'm not.
I think she must have cut this very similar promos 2 weeks in a row, actually, because we talked about this on the pod last week somehow. So,
yeah, this one, she didn't talk about the whininess so much, but she did the Born Again Kristen. The whining was a week, the week before. But this one was she was like, I'm going back to who I used to be, like on my own, strong and independent and tough, and I'm a Born Again Kristen. So yeah. Okay. So that's the Stokely breakup right there, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. So Camille and Mercedes interrupted that promo, and Camille was being like, seems like I'm maybe the biggest and strongest. And then on Dynamite this week, Mercedes fought Emi Sakura and she won. And then she kept beating her up afterwards. And Kris ran out to save Emi Sakura and she ran Mercedes and Camille off. And Camille also had a match on Rampage. And I would just like to say that her gear for that match was fucking impeccable. She has this like Xena gear basically where it's just like, yeah, that gets me where I live. proud to be gay. What do you guys think of Kris's promos and what's going on with her, the Stokely breakup stuff?
It's not super sensical, but I don't know. Everyone else seems madder about it than I am because like her personality doesn't seem that different. It's just more like she's doing something different, and I think she's a good opponent for Mercedes, so I'm like, well, this is fine. I don't know.
I think I'm madder about it because it came after a stupid heel turn. The heel turn didn't they didn't really bother to not bother. I mean, I think Kris tried, but they didn't really invest any why she did she turned heel. And so then for her immediately to turn face, it does feel like backsliding towards last year and the year before, where it's just sort of like, oh, the women's division just did something and you just need to roll with it, I guess, and it's fine. At the end of the day, Kris is amazing in the ring and she's a huge hunk and I'm going to enjoy any match. But it's it's continually hard to get invested in the women's division when they do pull this stuff. This is the stuff that I thought they were going to stop doing when they had the Tony and Mariah go so well, that they were getting so much credit. And I was like, they've learned their lesson. They're going to start caring about this kind of stuff. And then it's like, oh, well, this is just kind of a slap in the face. I mean, I'm not mad, but I am sort of we didn't really learn lessons. Okay.
Yeah, I guess, I didn't know if I saw it as, that strong of a face turn. To me, it just seemed like she's, positioned against Mercedes that way. It's not, a whole different personality.
But she did come out to save someone.
But he'll save their friends, too, though,
But is she canonically friends with Emi?
I don't know. To me, it just didn't seem like, oh, now she's a permanent good guy. I agree that the women's division has been backsliding and not as good since this fall. But
yeah, saving random people are getting beat up is like a classic best friends behavior, but like also like just like face stuff. So it is like yeah. And I think some of it also is based on the Fightful article that came out that was just like, Kris is a heel now, adjust. You know what I mean?
Or a face now, yeah.
A face now.
I'm not crazy. Like, I'm not crazy mad about it. I'm not super worked up. But I agree that it is, like, especially with Kris, because I loved the build to the heel turn so much, and I loved the immediate heel turn so much, but then I, like, never got some of the follow-up that I wanted. Then it's like, this is now a follow-on from that, where I'm like, so then I just didn't get the follow-on, and now you're kind of retconning it. And it's like, she was really mean and crazy bad behaved to her friend, but now she is like being nice again, and she doesn't have this manager who is a big part of the gimmick, and there isn't any like explanation of that. Like, I'm not even... I said again, like, I was like, oh, I even would have loved to just, like, I wish we had BTE so I could have seen, like, that's something you'd put on BTE, that they have some dumb argument and break up for some reason that we know kind of means, like, oh, the booking just needs Stokely somewhere else, so he's not doing that anymore. I don't know. Right. I'm not mad. I just don't think it is that there's like a lot of care and attention to the character there. And it is a little, I'm like, Kris, please, I really want to, please work with me here. I just want some through lines here.
I know. I would kill for the BT skit backstage where like Kris runs flat into like, I don't know, Big Bill and bounces off of it and is like, oh, I hit my head. What happened? I was with Stokely, like that would be enough. Like, we don't. I mean, Kris is never going to be a complicated character.
Yes,
so like, I'm not asking for everything, but like, even just a bit would be cool.
Yeah, I would like a little crumb, but it's not the end of the world.
No,
it is what it is. I am excited to presumably see her fight Mercedes at some point soon, but not this weekend, right? Unless
I don't think so. Is Mercedes on the?
I don't know.
I think I thought it was, but
I just don't have it on my list here. But it might have slipped through the cracks, so I don't know that it hasn't been technically announced. And there's no Collision, but is there Rampage?
There's a Rampage.
There is Rampage.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe they'll
it could be announced on Rampage. Yeah,
that's true, but it'd be cool if it was for Full Gear. And well, I don't know that this one needs more time, but
I don't know, because I don't think I don't even have a sense of like what storylines they might be trying to build with. Like, lovingly, I will say that I don't think that like Mercedes has like really ramped up any storylines. She is like getting into this thing with MVP, so my eyes are on it, but so I just don't really have a sense. I'm like, yeah, maybe they could wait for Full Gear and do something really cool, or maybe they are not planning to do that and it does just make sense to do it now. So I guess if you're setting it up this much right before a pay-per-view, I guess it would make sense to do it at the pay-per-view,
right?
Unless you don't. I think I was thinking about this recently because we were talking about how we used to have longer for builds, and sometimes it was too much time between builds, but in other cases it's like it's good to have time to build a story so that you are like really excited for the match. And we were saying like, well, we're not going to have less pay-per-views. Like, the pay-per-view number is staying where it is. So maybe it would be more. Or more. God, okay. And? Pull your guts.
The pay-per-views will continue until
morale improves. But I was like, maybe it would be good for us to start thinking about like, okay, if you're not going to have less pay-per-views, if it is going to be on average a pay-per-view a month, like, how can you set up like builds that don't feel so rushed? And I was kind of thinking like, well, we do kind of act like if we see something before a pay-per-view, we do kind of act like, okay, so that'll be on the pay-per-view. And it's like, I don't know, maybe we do need to be have some more overlap and be like, okay, for 8 weeks, there's going to be 2 pay-per-views in there, and we're setting up for 2 pay-per-views, and half of these storylines are going to be for the first pay-per-view, and half are for the second, and some of them are longer, and some of them are shorter, and like they can feed into each other a little bit, which is a little harder because it sounds quite difficult to manage, like how they interact. But like, I'm interested in whether they're thinking about that, and whether we as a community then may have to like come to terms with, you know, like if you want the longer build, you have to accept that maybe it isn't going to have a peak at every pay-per-view. And there may be pay-per-views that some people aren't on because they're building a longer story. Is that possible?
I would give anything for Tony to give an after pay-per-view press conference where he lays it out in exactly that tone. And he's just looking at the journalists and he's like, do you think that maybe we could learn that together?
I mean, it is interesting to think about, especially like with your like world title scene where it's like often like it would have been nice if Hangman and Swerve had like, you know, 6 or 8 weeks to really get into stuff. But then it's like you do want your world champ on every pay-per-view. So it's interesting to think if you could do it in such a way that you're having kind of like a long-term emotionally deeper storyline, and then you also have like little quick ones that can overlap, and it's like, oh, he's gonna fight, you know.
Yeah, the trade-off with, you know, with having like booking in that way that like not all like it's not a linear like up and down with the pay-per-views. It's like some are going for other ones. Is that like potentially like the world title match might not be the closer for every pay-per-view, that some other things might be the climax, which you can get away with in some cases. Like I think everyone was really afraid of like a scenario where Swerve wasn't like the main point of a pay-per-view because it was like he felt very important. But like it's like if Mox ends up taking it off Bryan and he holds it for a while, and it's like you could play a little bit because Mox is not going to have his star diminished if he's not the climax of a pay-per-view, you know.
It'd be interesting to see if it could work, because other times though, when like, you know, Ospreay's had like multiple kind of feuds at once, it has felt like kind of confused to me and unfocused. So it almost, I don't know if it just be like retraining me, the audience, or if it, I think you just have to be pretty deliberate about how you do it.
I think it's probably both. Like you have to retrain the audience and you have to do it well. I guess you didn't say that part, but that's what I was thinking. Like, well, you have to do it good, of course.
Well, it's like I know if you balance it well enough, it could not feel confused to the audience. But also it's like in wrestling, you have so many moving parts and people out and stuff that it's like, well.
I know it's illegal to say that you liked any part of MJF's reign, but I did kind of like at the end when he was having like multiple confrontations that you were like, is this going to a feud? Like what's happening here?
Yeah, I did like that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and that felt really like that. It was like the walls are closing in. I don't think that they really like stuck the ending with that, but conceptually, I was interested in it.
Right.
I think, unless you listened to those episodes and I wasn't.
I know. I am a little bit like, I hope I said I liked it back then.
You promise no fact checking.
I've really been going through something for the past couple of years where like thinking about how we critique characters on TV or in books and stuff, sometimes being like, oh, well, they said this thing like here, but then they said this other thing here. So it's inconsistent. And just being like, yeah, people are. My God, I
all kinds of things. Yeah.
I don't know how I felt. I don't exist in the past. I only exist in the moment. Of course, we all say inconsistent things all the time. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I just think about it.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's actually like, even I was thinking like, well, you know, like, of course we hate CM Punk now, but like at the time and him and MJF's feud, like we were pretty into it. But then I did listen to that episode that they had the dog collar match, and we weren't that into it, actually. I mean, we didn't really talk about it in a sexual way at all. And I was like, this feels very vindicating. So, I mean, I think we were into it in other parts of the feud for sure.
I definitely said some stuff. I definitely said some stuff that now I'm like, oh, Allie, what bad taste you had. But then it's like, I don't know, maybe if I could go back and be unburdened by the experiences that we we've had since. It still was.
I think it was good at the time.
A lot of stuff about it was really good. We didn't know what was coming. We didn't know that man.
No.
Okay,
No.
he had just moved in. Anyway,
Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. Now is the time to make a plan. Whether you plan to vote absentee by mail, in person at your county auditor's office before Election Day, or at your polling place on November 5th, it's important you take steps now to make your plan at voterready.iowa.gov. Remember, Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. Find more info at voterready.iowa.gov. This message is presented by the Iowa Secretary of State.
Oh, God. Okay. The Bucks and Jack Perry fought Shibata and Private Party on Rampage, and they lost because Pinboy Matt Jackson took the pin and looked good doing it.
Do you remember when you used to call them pin pigs?
No, I did not. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. That couldn't have been me. Pin pigs? I don't think so. I think maybe I suggested that one time.
I think at a point we were gonna play a game called like Pin Pig, Pin Prig, or Pin.
Anyway. My God. Wow, we have our fun. You can't say we don't. All right, this was a very fun match. Then on Dynamite, Stokely Hathaway was trying to recruit Private Party again, and Mark Quinn was like, where were you the past 5 years? Which I think at the time was really normal. Like, the promo itself was totally normal. And then when I was doing the schedule and read that, I was like, oh my God, what a rom-com line. That's so romantic. And then just immediately had to go like look up some of my favorite rom-com lines. I'm like watching like I Wouldn't Stop for Red Lights on YouTube. So that's not really not how it sounded. To a
place where it's like, where were you 5 years ago? I'm here now. You're late.
You're late. Yes, yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So anyway, that may have been how he meant it. Probably not. Also in tag team division news, Top Flight had a backstage segment where, so I guess, okay, I did this backwards. So there was a tag team eliminator match on Collision, which was, I think, Brody, Buddy Malachi. It was some of those guys, Buddy Malachi versus Private Party versus Top Flight, and then the winner was going to fight the Bucks at WrestleDream. And so Private Party won, and then Top Flight had this backstage segment where Darius and Dante were like, we should be wrestling the Bucks. There's no reason we shouldn't be wrestling the Bucks this Saturday. And actually Andretti said, no reason? You guys just don't get it, and stormed off. And unfortunately, I didn't watch Collision, so I also don't get it. I'm like, what don't they get? What went wrong?
I also didn't watch Collision, so I have no idea, but I was obsessed with this promo because of Private Party's like attitude about like, we should be fighting the Bucks, and it just made me think about how they're like canonically huge Bucks fans. Yeah. Huh?
You said Private Party instead of Top Flight.
Oh, I meant Top Flight.
Yeah. No, I know.
But that Top Flight is like they're like huge fans, so they were just like, oh, I want to be fighting the Bucks. How come they get to fight the Bucks? I love the Bucks.
Oh man, I didn't really understand what was going on.
No, I didn't at all.
I liked hearing Top Flight and Private Party cut their little promos, and I heard both Darius and Mark Quinn cut promos, which I know I must have heard before, but I felt like I hadn't. Like, I was like, this is a whole new lineup tonight.
It did feel shocking.
The backup dancers are speaking.
When we went to All Out 21 and you and I stayed in the same hotel as the wrestlers, I saw Mark Quinn picking up Panera, like DoorDash at the front desk. And for some reason, still, every time I see him, I just think, that guy loves Panera. It's like, it's so normal. Like, who hasn't gotten Panera in the suburbs of Chicago, you know? But, like, it's just not tough, I guess.
I like that you elevated it to loves. Like, you're just like, he was getting it? Well, I guess it's his favorite food.
I guess he's a big Panera guy.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I kind of felt like back, like a year or two ago, Top Flight kind of felt like a big deal and like credible contenders and stuff. And now it's just like the tag team division has really devalued a lot of these guys. Like even Private Party felt like, they could have big matches and stuff. And now it's like, I mean, I'm glad they're getting it, but it's just like, we got to build these guys back up.
Yeah, I think, we got to build these guys back up. Do you guys ever just think, like, I know we've said it before, I think booking might be pretty hard. It would be really hard. Like, I think it's like we talk, it's so easy to say, like, we need to build these guys back up. And I understand that there are things that, like, especially people who know more about wrestling than we do will say, like, oh, well, you could do this or you could do this. But, like, you don't really know how it's going to go. Yeah. And you don't
part of it is, like, Dante broke his foot real bad on camera. And, like, so he was out for a long time, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But
I think every backseat booker, though, really does overestimate their own ability to deal with, like, wrestler egos and last minute injuries and visa problems and hurricanes and everything else.
And you just can't rewrite anything. Like, when I think about that,
you're on a runaway train 52 weeks a year.
It's like you're sitting down, you're writing a chapter every week, and then you either have to be like, oh, that got Joss, don't worry about it. Or you just have to run with whatever your stupid bitch ass from 3 weeks ago did.
Yeah. You're like, well, it's too late now. Like, I've done it. Yeah.
God, I would not be thriving. No. I wouldn't be thriving.
No. Just made me think about, like, you know, like Arthur Conan Doyle sending his Sherlock stories chapter by chapter to the magazine and then being like, readers, last chapter sucked. Everybody know that.
Just don't worry about it. Burn those papers.
Do you think that should be our recommendation to Tony? Is like, Tony, sometimes like when the IWC gets really mad at you, just come on to Dynamite at the beginning of the next ep and just be like, last week is sucked ass, canceled, dust. Like, everything, it didn't happen.
It's like, actually what happened instead was this. Yeah. Okay, that's what we're going to deal with. I would love it if he did a little promo where it's like, you guys, I'm trying to do good art, but last week I failed. And actually, we've got to go a different direction.
It worked really well for us. We put out our episode that sucked, and people were like, this was pretty good. And I was like, people love it when you say something sucked.
That gets people on board because they just are more... They're more interested in what's going on once you said it was bad.
They're disarmed. They're interested in what happened. Yeah, they're paying attention.
It's called setting expectations. And then it's like, oh, this was a lot better than it sounded like it was going to be.
That's right.
Anyway, all of this is to say that I don't really know what the right thing to do with, like, Private Party and Top Flight, guys like that is if you want to, like, build them back up. But this seems kind of fine to me. Like, this seems kind of good. Like, they're actually cooking a little storyline. They're having little interactions. I can't imagine that you listeners in the future, I can't imagine that Private Party are the tag team champions, but perhaps anything is possible. I mean, anything is possible, you know?
What a zag. Yeah.
Anne's going to have to edit something into the episode to, like, this is Anne. Readers. This is Sunday morning. We do understand.
It drops Sunday at midnight, so it's like 11:30 and the tag match has already happened and I'm watching the pay-per-view and I'm recording B-roll.
Like, there's egg all over Allie's face, of course. Private Party are our new tag team champs, of course. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I like them. I like all those men. And then in other tag team news, we don't even have to get into this. FTR is on the Outrunners jock or whatever because they're trying to suck their fame away from them.
I'm trying not to let it ruin the Outrunners for me because it's like, it's not the Outrunners' fault. And yet.
But then, and then I guess the Outrunners beat Grizzled Young Vets, which I do find quite mystifying because I'm like, I don't know, I guess I think that if you debut a team at your biggest show of the year or whatever, like, I kind of thought they would, like, maybe be winning a little more or, like, be doing a little more, but it kind of seems like they aren't, so I don't fully understand that. I will say that. I don't really get it. But that's a personal issue. All right. Y'all done here?
Yeah.
Danny Garcia had an in-ring segment on Dynamite in which he announced that he will not be leaving us for NXT and he is going to stay with AEW. This was fucking huge for us.
We really needed this. We needed it so bad.
I don't even think I had fully appreciated how much I needed it until we saw him.
Yeah.
And suddenly I was like, oh my God, is that little boy not going to another school? Is he staying at this school?
And I was so, like, I enjoyed this so much. I enjoyed being worked. It was like being a little kid where you just gave in. Where when Renee, like, tried to interview Danny, like, that was, like, the moment that with my adult thinking brain, I should have been, like, the moment he was on TV, I should have been, like, confidently, like, oh, that means he's signed. But instead, like a child, I said, oh, do you think he'll give us good news?
In my smart thinking brain, I was like, oh, well, they won't let him on TV if he's not signed, so he must have re-signed. But that didn't impact the experience of the rest of my emotional mind, which was like, until I hear him say that he's not leaving, in my mind, he's at NXT. He's not even here. He is at NXT already. They got him.
It would be pretty funny if they let him live in ring announce that he was going to NXT. I thought I needed to be man enough to come out here and tell you to your face that this is my last appearance on AEW and you can watch me on Tuesday nights at NXT.
It's really fun sometimes, like when you're emotionally invested, to just like get gotten by wrestling the exact way that it wants you to, and to be like, this is fake. Like you're saying it to yourself, but it's like, but it feels like a real emotional experience for me right now. I don't know what to tell you.
It was one of those things where it's like, this is why we do it.
This is why we do it. After he cut his slow promo, he went backstage. He exchanged hugs and high fives with Private Party, OC, Anna Jay, and Shibata, who used text to voice to say that he wants to fight Danny maybe after he wins JB's belt on Saturday, which we don't know if he will, but you do, listener. What did you guys think of, any thoughts that you have on his actual promo, but also on what we think we're going to see, what we want to see out of Danny Garcia going forward?
I want to see everything. I want him to have a belt. Why can't he have a belt? I want to give him the biggest, bestest belt there is. He deserves it.
And he said he wants it. He said, much like Yuta, he said, I'm actually a big boy now. I'm not the child you once knew. I'm a big boy. I deserve a big boy's belt, and I will be getting one. What I would like is, I'm sorry, Shibata, but I need JB to defeat Shibata, and then I need Danny to get into a feud with JB, and I need the Bucks to, I don't know, maybe still be feuding with Private Party, because of course, ideally, Danny would be teamed up with his best friends, Private Party, so that they could be having sleepovers at the hotel and like in their PJs kicking their heels, being like, we're having a feud with the Elite. We're having such a good feud with the Elite.
No, I want that trios match, because I think that trios match would fucking slap. But I also do really want a true, real, like, Daniel Garcia, JB, like, feud. Like, I just think that the two of them doing tough guy promos where they're like, I'm so big now, I'm big and mean and scary.
What do you think that JB would say about Danny Garcia's dick?
That's part of the excitement, Ann, isn't it? It's that we don't know what JB has in his trunks. JB did cut a promo this week, Ann is referring to, I'm sure you know. It was a very good promo where in the middle he said of Shibata, he's got a damn turkey leg in his trunks, and then he moved right on. So I think we all had the experience of like, I mishear things all the time, and I really enjoy honestly mishearing things and love to tell people like, this is what I heard, and I liked it better than what was actually said. When I realized that what I thought must have been a mishearing was a real hearing,
at that part of the promo, I'd forgotten who he was promoing on, so he said a turkey leg in his trunks. I was like, wait, who's he talking about? Is this someone who I know has like a reputation?
Aaron sat up. She goes, who's got the big old dick?
Yeah. Where is it? Who? Shibata? Oh. And then I was like, oh, interesting. It's new
It's not something that anyone has said to us about Shibata before.
No.
But it does add some color to that match we watched with him recently, which we loved. To know that the turkey leg was there the whole time. It was a crazy thing for JB to say. I'd love to hear him and Danny Garcia talk about each other's turkey legs. And I do want Danny Garcia to win the belt off of JB. I want him to be such a good belt holder, owner, responsible. Be very responsible for the belt.
Do you think he'll take JB's metallurgy belt and like redo it? Will he have to learn metallurgy?
Well, I'd love
Will
to
he
see
have to
a video
Johnny
of that.
train it up? Yeah.
Do you think that everyone who has that belt from now on is going to have to learn metallurgy to make a new belt?
Yeah.
I support it.
Just part of being the TNT champion.
I do think that Tony Khan should be paying for those materials, for those craft.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Materials.
It's a business expense. Yeah, I'm sure they can submit the receipts to the business office.
Tony, we know all about this because we ourselves are CEOs, and I'll just let you know how we do it. We pay for everything. There's nothing we don't pay for.
Because we have unlimited funds, so of course at our gas station, people can be reimbursed.
Even if there was a budget, if any one of our wrestlers came to us and said, "I'd like to learn a craft," we're draining the budget.
100%.
We're paying for their glass blowing classes. Obviously.
Oh my god!
Please. I'm at my leisure to have one of my wrestlers make me a basket, of course.
Or we have like a gas station where we put on wrestling, but we also have kind of like PBS style, like learning crafts side shows.
Yes, I actually just thought, sometimes they, I don't know if sometimes they have them. I've been to one. It's like those old timey craft villages where you go and they have the metalsmith and they've got the glass blowers and stuff.
Sturbridge Village in Connecticut.
Yes, exactly. So if we set up one of those near the gas station, we own it. But then, of course, we hire some beautiful artisans to come work and teach there. And then it's like, of course, you can always just go down the road and get some classes.
Learn any craft you want.
Oh, my God.
I mean, really, we can have kind of in the desert, like a whole city, like an old timey, like Ren Fair / craft village, like Shaker Village.
That's where Chris Jericho's wearing his period dress.
Really? Of course, that's so funny and right. But I really did think that you were just going to be like, that's where he runs the learning tree.
In his dress, yeah.
Which, by the way, guys, Mary says she won't draw a picture of female Chris Jericho for us.
So disappointing.
To be honest, she wouldn't even engage, really. I don't think she liked that we brought her into it.
No.
She was quite disappointing.
Yeah. I don't think any of us were really happy to hear that she didn't want to play in that space with us.
The girl Chris Jericho space.
We said, yes and, Mary, yes and she said, no, but
no, period. Now, what do you guys think I meant when I said, thoughts on the promo itself, crowd reaction, skip rope?
I don't know. No.
I don't know what you meant by that.
I wonder. I think I thought that I was keeping a really interesting thought, like private, to debut it on the podcast.
It's a risky venture.
You know what I think I was thinking about? I was wondering whether you thought it was like right that Danny Garcia cut a promo being like, I'm staying with the company, when it wasn't really a storyline. And then I was thinking about this. I don't seem to put this in the right place at all. Then I was thinking about how do you fit him back into like a feud. And I was thinking about when people are doing the double dutch and then you have to figure out when to jump in. And I was like, that's what a lot of wrestling booking is, I think, is being like, when can they jump in on the double dutch?
Yeah. It's like, I'm super happy that he's staying, but it is a little bit annoying that we've had like the 3 weeks where he could have been doing cool stuff with people that we didn't have. No. And then, yeah, it's like I was excited for him to give this promo and in the moment liked it. But yeah, these kind of like just shoot promos about people's contract status are a little bit like, in the world of the show, what are we doing here? But
yeah, it's like, I'm so happy I'm not mad at him, but it is kind of funny.
I didn't mind it because like, I think I don't like it when there's like there's no chance that you have any idea what he's talking about unless you are super, online. I think he like did a decent job of being like, I've been sitting at home and I just suddenly like sat up and was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And like, if you didn't have access to the internet, I think you could like, his promo made sense in terms of like, it seemed like he was saying, like, I've been sitting at home and I suddenly sat up and was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I have to wrestle, and I'm becoming a new person and turning the leaf over. As long as the promo makes sense, like, I don't care if there's another level that it means to the very, very online. Like, that doesn't bother me. It's just only the ones where you're like, you couldn't have gotten that. Like, you couldn't have gotten what he was saying. You know what I mean?
I do. I think it's interesting because I'm not sure. We need that elusive casual fan to refer to. Because when I look at the text of it, I'm like, if I were a casual fan, I don't really think I would know what was going on here. Yeah. I mean, I would gather at a certain point, like, oh, you're deciding whether you're staying here or you're going. But then maybe I would assume that was a storyline, and it wasn't. And I don't think it should have been a storyline. And obviously, I support Danny Garcia, and I don't, it's like whatever has been going on with this contract, it is what it is. And I'm glad that we got it sorted out, and I hope he's happy. But I was just had after all of the excitement and my relief had gone down, I was like, what on earth is this supposed to be? Well, who cares? But wrestling is totally crazy. I mean,
it is crazy. It's like they do so much. I don't know. Sometimes I think they do need to think a little bit more about, like, is the show like self-contained enough? Because even like my brother, he was like, oh yeah, once I stopped like spending time like on Reddit, like looking at wrestling discussions, I got less interested in watching wrestling, which is interesting because it's like, oh, a lot of the stuff outside the show is like what's keeping you invested in the show. And like, I think the show needs to maybe work a little harder at being
bringing it in.
Yeah, or it being entertaining enough on its own and self-contained enough without you being like, oh, Adam Cole's giving a 10-minute promo because he's been injured this whole time, and I guess I'm supposed to like know all about that, or whatever. It's like, yeah.
Anne's like, wrestling should really be good if it can. And you know what, Anne?
I think it should think of itself as a television show that people watch and kind of.
I think that's a contentious opinion, and not everyone is going to agree with it. No. But I mostly do. Okay, Jay White beat a jobber on Dynamite, and then he cut an in-ring promo and on Hangman Adam Page. Now, what did you think of the promo? Let's start there. One.
I thought it was good. I mean, it was fine. Like, unfortunately, I just kept, like, objectifying him the entire time. For some reason, as he was talking, I just kept being like, he has such a tight little body. Like, look at him move.
Oh my God. Wow. He's got you in his grips.
So true.
Yeah, I thought it was good. He had an energy to him. I did think it was funny. Like, I mean, I think overall it was a good promo, but it was funny to me that he was like, Hangman, you and one other person are the thing standing between me and the title. And it's like, Jay White, you've been in the lower mid card this whole time. Like, are those the only two things between you and the title? But
maybe a few other impediments standing in the way. I'm going to say something. I really like Jay White. Okay, I think Jay White is great. I'm so interested in him. I want to see him frothing at the mouth more. Sometimes when he is cutting promos, I'm gonna say it, and it is derogatory. He does get a little bit into a like a spoken word poetry space, like an open mic spoken word poetry. Hangman, I told you that you were one of the. Do you know kind of what I mean? Can you hear it a little in your head as you? A little.
There's an interesting rhythm. Yeah,
it's a little funny to me. I laugh a little about it.
Yeah, that's right.
But I really like him. Any other thoughts on? I didn't delete some of these notes. Any other thoughts on? So Hangman didn't. He was like Hangman. Actually, I don't know if he called Hangman out, but Hangman wasn't there. He did. Okay, and we haven't heard a response from Hangman yet. They are fighting at WrestleDream or have fun.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah, and I feel like they're building this feud pretty well. Like, it was nice to have an in-ring promo for it, I think. So, and I think it'll be a fun match.
No objections. And Swerve is coming back at WrestleDream, maybe.
Yeah.
They did a very horny little video package. It was like, Swerve was looking great. You could see the scars on his back and stuff. And I think it's this EJ last name. I forget.
Starts with a K, maybe.
Or an N. UKA Naduka something.
Yes, anyway, that sounds right.
I like that they're kind of collecting all the guys who've lately been like, yeah, WWE was really racist to me. So that's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see what's going on there. I did kind of think, but he's not, so is he having a match? No, he's just going to make an appearance.
Yeah,
or
it was
maybe
like
not.
Swerve. What it was like?
Swerve returns at WrestleDream.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll find out. Or you already have. Okay. I think we got just some light topics that we'll scoot on through. Don Callis and Jake the Snake did a wrestler swapsies. They traded wrestlers from their factions. So now Lance Archer is in the Callis family and Roosh is in what I've called Jake's Snake Club.
I did not know that Jake the Snake was still currently managing anyone. Like, maybe that explains why we haven't seen Lance Archer for like a year.
Right.
He doesn't have a very good manager.
It's not very good, yeah.
Like, MVP, check this guy out. Like, he needs different representation. But I guess he has it because now he's in the Don Callis family, which is interesting. I have no objection to that. I actually thought this was really fun. I think it's funny that we all were doing so bad watching this episode that none of us realized that's what happened because we weren't listening. And that then today we all independently were like, oh, they did a swapsies. That's so fun.
Yeah, and then I watched the promo back and I was like, oh, and they said it out loud with their words. Yeah,
absolutely, they say it. Yeah.
I unfortunately did this thing where I looked up and I saw Jake the Snake. And
Yeah.
I said, oh, this promo is not relevant to me, and tuned right back out. And so
I think that's exactly what happened to me too. I was like, I thought we were done with these very old man wrestlers, but
I did kind of think that Cody had taken all of them with him. I feel like we haven't seen most of them since Cody left.
True, kind of, yeah.
I mean,
we used
not
to see Tully and Arn all the time.
Yeah. Oh God, we used to see them near
all the time.
And they were sometimes so unstable on the apron.
It was not good. Yeah. You know, sometimes we get as nostalgic for earlier AEW, but in some ways now it's better.
Although maybe that also speaks to was it always as good as people say it was? No. But was it always entertaining? Also, no, but yes, it was a lot. A lot of the time it was. Even if it wasn't always good, often what was happening was interesting.
It was interesting because also we had no like context for anything, because it was like, wrestling, when you're watching wrestling, you're watching young men in diapers accompanied by old men in like jogging suits. Like, that's kind of what we thought wrestling was. And so of course we just accepted it. If you brought Arn Anderson out today, we'd be like, what the fuck is this?
I think we would be like,
oh
classic.
No, Arn's back.
Another old man. Oh yeah, we get it. Another old man. What if Tony's dogs?
You ever think that, like, if we're still watching wrestling 40 years from now, like, every once in a while, like, Orange Cassidy will toddle out with, like, a broken body that can barely move anymore, and he'll be managing some
He'll do a really painful kip up, and we'll all pop for it so big.
I don't think that'll be us. I think we'll be saying things like, I'd rather, like, just see you sitting backstage having a nice chit chat with your friends.
No, I'm going to be on futuristic Reddit being like, the youngins have their time. There's time for them. Give Orange Cassidy the belt one more time.
I hope he gets it someday. I hope he gets the belt someday.
Yeah, you'd think, I mean, he's always on Tony Khan's private plane. You think he could politic himself into a little world title?
I don't think he's trying to.
No.
That man is like he's like, I'm the best employee because I do what I'm told. I'll simply always do it. You say
if what I'm told is to conglomerate with the same people.
Kingdom for 10 months straight, it would be my pleasure. I will cause you no problems. I will open your show. I will hold the demo, and I will get paid.
He's like, well, I wrestled twice as many matches as the second highest match wrestler. Like, yeah, absolutely. Will any of the matches mean anything? No, they won't.
God, it's not. It has been a bit of a. Well, I would love it if he did something really sexy and unexpected soon. I kind of want him to, I don't know, like murder Kyle.
That would be sexy. Yeah.
I mean, I love them both, but when you love two men, you want to see them kill each other.
And if Trent is healing up, maybe we can get that story restarted. Maybe Dustin will get his surgery and
grow up.
I know. Trent will come back and he'll immediately pop his titty again and then be out for 10 more months.
Christ. He'll pop his titty. He'll pop Dustin's titty. Dustin's going to be like, I didn't even get my first surgery. You want me to get 2 surgeries?
It's like, I'm learning this backstage job. I can't get any surgeries for at least 3 more years.
Jesus Christ. Unfortunately, I'm worried it could happen because I'm like, I would do that. That's like me constantly saying I can't do things, like I can't like bring any new stuff into my life because I'm like, well, I've got to finish cleaning out my garage. A project that's been ongoing for 2 years. I'm like, well, once I finish getting that garage cleaned out, then I think I'll be ready to have some new experiences in my life.
He's got a lot on his plate with the Phillies right now, so it's not really time to fit in a surgery.
Oh, okay. So any hologram fought Commander, and then Jake the Snake came out to distract them from the fact that Roosh Trelistico and Beast Mortos were sliding into the ring to beat them up, and they did beat them up. And
Jake
that's
the Snake kind of like held up his fist in like a salute for like a long time.
Was that like the LFI thing? Was he LFIing with them or something?
Maybe.
We don't know what Jake the Snake is.
No,
we don't know that man, really.
No.
Well, we do kind of, but
we met him a couple times, but every time it was kind of bewildering. So
yeah.
We don't understand him, but we accept him. And he is.
I know he invented the DDT.
What?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
You with your facts.
How do you fucking know that?
Where did you learn that word?
Dude, what the fuck?
I have approximate knowledge of many things.
It's just more many than it used to be. So I'm like, what's your secret source?
Sarah's just sending her videos like every
God
day.
damn it.
You know
That's
where she's
right.
getting it.
Tell her to send them to all of us. You can't keep getting us like this. We look so stupid, and you're like, Jake the Snake actually invented the DDT. It's embarrassing.
I can't believe you
humiliating.
You heard that fact about Jake the Snake, and then you decided to retain a fact about Jake the Snake.
The thing about my
you were going to say you decided not to tell us.
Well, I mean, that too, yeah. Now you bring it up?
The thing about my brain is that I didn't have any choice of what I was going to retain. Do you know how many stupid things I retain all the time? And I can't? And I'm like, I'd like to get rid of that fact. I'd like to hold on to other things.
Yeah. Like things that make you happy.
She's getting those Dave Meltzer vitamins, so she's gonna be like, I want to do what's making me happy all December long.
She's about to get on her Meltzers, her Alvarez's, and her Foley's, and she'll be thriving. The trifecta of mental health.
Those 3 men represent the pinnacle of mental health.
You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. Did you guys like my accidental suggestion here that Jake the Snake and Don Callis should kiss? I didn't mean it, but I implied it.
The thing is that, like, you said it, and I was like, yeah, of course they should. It's like classic.
A classic
really,
what?
You could say that anyone should kiss him. We'd be like, yeah, I mean, probably.
That's a classic couple of managers. There's one thing we know about managers.
When one manager makes a good trade deal with another manager, yeah, we all know what it leads to.
I think we know in the world of sports, when 2 managers trade a player, that's the most erotic experience they can have, and one of the most intimate as well. And it brings them together in a way no one else could understand, and which they can probably only express physically through wet kissing.
And when we think about Don Callis and Jake the Snake doing wet kissing, everyone is on board.
And you know what? One
Nothing
other thing,
but acclaim
one
for our ideas.
One other thing I'll say about it: if they did that wet kissing on Dynamite, do you think that line could go up?
I think people would tune in to see it. I think people would say, what happened on Dynamite? And they would seek out those clips. Yeah.
Yet again, not good, but entertaining.
Entertaining. At our pumps for us, there'll be a pump devoted to trades and the wet kissing that follows those trades.
I thought you were going to, give one of our pumps to Jake the Snake and Don Callis.
No, I mean, they could be on it whenever they want.
They could be on the old man Yowie pump along with all the other old men.
And whenever an old man feels the urge to do some, there's the pump they go to.
I'm imagining an old man freezing with this strange look on his face, and we go, "Are you having the urge?"
The urge. Like Trap 2024. Quick to the pump.
Quick to the diesel pump.
Diesel for old men. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Makes sense. Wow.
Do you think that this was a good discussion?
I don't know.
I think people will love it. Yeah.
I don't even know what we were talking about, to be honest.
Speaking of
Don,
an ab workout, like my stomach.
Oh my God.
hurts. Wow.
Speaking of Don Callis, in-ring confrontation, Ospreay, Don Callis. Ospreay was like, "You ordered your guy to attack me last week." Don Callis was like, "Yeah, for sure." And then he slapped Ospreay, and Ospreay fought him, and the Don Callis family came out, and then I think Don Callis was trying to get Kyle Fletcher to like hammer with some kind of tool of violent screwdriver. Oh, that's right, the traveling screwdriver. He was trying to get him to screwdriver Ospreay, and Kyle was really messed up about that and had to leave.
It was so funny because he's like, "I love Ospreay so much, I could never hurt him." So he turned his back and walked away as Ospreay got his ass kicked.
Yeah, he just didn't want to be the one to do it. That's classic. What did you guys think of the segment?
Loved it. I think it's so important that Kyle and Ospreay be given these moments where they just do the most acting that anyone has ever done. I think it's enriching for both us and the audience.
Yeah. And for them as well, I think.
Yeah.
And I feel like we haven't had a segment where Don Callis gets booed so hard that he clearly can't hear himself speak. So that was delightful to go back to. Will Ospreay was wearing a jacket that was the exact shade of his hair, and to the point where it kind of looked like he had dyed his hair the same color on purpose, maybe. And
it was kind of a funny jacket too. Like it was a little, I don't know, it was a little 70s suede vibe. I don't know what the fabric actually was.
He could go with Jamie Hayter and Timeless Tony.
Oh my God, they could all go back in time together?
Yeah, a little 70s faction.
I thought this was totally...
have to fight DB-Doo.
Mariah May brought up Scooby-Doo on commentary, and one of our friends, just transcribed it. I wasn't paying attention, and I was like, what the fuck? They're talking about Scooby-Doo? I thought it was a DB... I was like, DB-Doo is there. The spirit of DB-Doo is there. The universe is crying out for DB-Doo. I thought this whole thing was totally fine, and I love. I don't know if do you have intel, Leah? Or people don't think it's cool that Ospreay and Fletcher are doing this fucking hammy ass, great ass they won't let us be friends Fox and Hound storyline?
Yeah, I mean,
That's sick.
I keep seeing people be insulting their art. The art
that's literally
fucking.
That's literally fucking sick.
I know.
People really need to understand that something doesn't need to be good to be entertaining.
Yeah.
And it can be good in different ways. Some art
It's beautiful to watch two boys learn to act right before your very eyes.
Exactly. It's is a really amazing work of classic literature good? Yes, because it's well written. But is a child's scribble good too? Yes, because it's their first story they ever told, and it's a magical experience for them, and you put it up on your fridge.
Right.
When I was 5, my baby brother was born, and I wrote a book about how, the baby was born, and we brought him home, and his name was Christopher, and I made a bunch of copies of it, and I was gonna, I'm gonna sell this. And my parents, before we went out for a walk, they were like, okay, just to set expectations, you might not sell any. But then, our neighbors bought them from me, because I was a small child trying to sell this for $0.25. And I remember feeling so indignant. You guys said I wouldn't sell any, but I sold tons, actually. This is a bestseller. You didn't believe in me.
Wow. Your parents are the IWC, and you are Kyle and Ospreay.
And we're the neighbors. Yeah.
We're the neighbors.
Yeah, we're buying it. We're plunking down our quarter, saying yes. I love it.
And we're calling our friends and being like, we've got a kid on our block who's selling these amazing books. You're going to want to pick one. I don't even even think that they're actually doing like a bad job, to be honest. Like, I don't think it's like a toddler doing a drawing, but like, I am just like, what do you want? They're doing a story, and it's so emotionally understandable. What do you want?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that there is a certain kind of male wrestling fan who's ultimately impatient with this kind of story that's like, I'm having trouble focusing on sport because I feel complications about our friendship. And so that triggers them. It makes them very unhappy. They don't like to see it. And on top of it, the fact that Kyle and Ospreay do keep like doing acting where like they open their eyes like so wide and they go,
That's just because they love each other. What are they supposed to do? Not look at each other like that?
You're right, though. That is the exact thing. It's how could anyone ever value friendship over sport?
Right, exactly.
Like we all should.
We all should.
Ultimately, we all should.
Mm-hmm. Nothing matters except friendship. That's the only story I want to hear.
The only thing that ever matters are the friends we made along the way.
So true. So true.
Those aren't even real belts, you guys.
Most of them aren't even metal. I don't know what I was going to say. Something, but I've forgotten it. So who cares? All right. This is really the last topic, I guess, is just that the Learning Tree is trying to recruit Rocky Romero. I was really convinced I had made up that his last name was Romero. For
like you were going to say Rocky Balboa.
Rocky Raccoon.
I am interested in what's going on there.
I am interested. It's very funny, though, because it's like, oh, they're trying to like sow discord in the conglomeration, a long-standing group of friends that really care about each other.
It's also funny that I'm like, lovingly, Rocky has maybe never been in a storyline in a way that paid off. Like, he's entered a lot of storylines I was paying attention to, and I've often said, like, it seems like maybe Rocky will play a role in this, and he actually never has. Like, nothing he has done in any storyline has ever mattered. So it will be shocking to me if this is the first time. And again, it comes from a place of love. I've accepted Rocky into my heart, even though I was mad at him for breaking up my parents' marriage, but I accepted him at this point. But
it is constantly like the out-of-town cousin. He's visiting. The other kids are all in the school play, so like let him run out with the chorus too. You know, like he doesn't have any lines, but
yeah,
it's like always kind of giving the vibe of like he's setting something up, like that's gonna matter in the next book in the series, and then he's never in the next book in the series, and it's like, oh, all right,
goes back to Japan, yeah.
So I guess we'll see.
The only one thing about the conglomeration, I really don't want the story to be like Rocky turns on OC, and then we have like Rocky serving as like a stand-in for Greg in that way, where I'm like, no, I want that story with Greg. Yeah. Bring Greg back. Yeah. Rocky should tell a different story.
Right. And Rocky doesn't have the emotional resonance because he's never here doing anything. So we just have to wait for Greg to come back.
Yeah. And that would also disrupt your theory about how Rocky is secretly in love with Darby, which I've onboarded. And so I'm like,
we just learned that he's in love with them. So
I know you can't turn on him now. He's been in love with him. Don't give up now, buddy. You're closer than you ever have been.
Dustin's finally out of the way. Greg's out of the way. Getting so close.
He's yours for the taking.
He's vulnerable.
Kyle's
he's
distracted
depressed.
by Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, this is the moment. OC has never been more isolated.
It would. Well, maybe we'll see. Maybe that's what's coming, actually. So we'll see.
He'll turn on Chris Jericho instead and then kiss OC right on the mouth, wetly.
Wetly?
Very wetly.
Yes, the way we like it. Why did I say that so many times, do you think?
It was really funny. It was why I think...
Why do you think that is what I said?
I think it was for comedy.
Oh, okay. I guess it must have been, but I'm kind of wondering, like, is comedy always right? Yes, it is. Yeah.
It is.
It's a core
value. That is the thesis statement of this podcast.
I think you're right.
It's a core value, yeah.
It's a core value. Okay, yeah, and that's it. And then Brian Cage is on the pre-show, and I just got really excited when I saw that. I was like, "Oh my god, Brian
Cage!" Good for
him. And is he from Seattle?
No, he's a California
Canadian.
boy.
No, he's California. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Wow, we're doing amazing.
Brian Cage being Canadian is the meanest thing you've ever said about Canada.
They have lots of bad people from Canada.
Didn't know if you were going to slander Brian Cage or slander Canada at the end of that sentence, and I'm glad you went with Brian Cage.
Oh my god. I was just happy. You know, he's my favorite wrestler, so I'm excited to see him. I love him now. So
someone's listening to our back archives and they're like, they're so inconsistent. This character has no through line. They used to hate Brian Cage.
And let that be a damn lesson. That is what it is like to be a person in the world. One day you think one thing, the next day you think another, the next day you think the first thing again. I could start hating Brian Cage again at any moment, but I hope I don't.
On a dime.
He is my precious boy. He is my little sweet little boy. And I can't wait to see him on the pre-show.
Do you think he's a little bit like the Dawn Summers of our podcast, where it's like we've been like one day, like our viewers just turned on the pod and we were like, we've always loved Brian Cage.
Yeah, exactly. And the twist is not coming for many, many episodes. You will stay waiting to understand where this love came from.
It's gotta be fun when we don't talk about him for like 6 months as we have it, and then bring it back. Like, yeah, don't worry, we still love Brian Cage. So
okay, that's gotta be it. I've been Allie.
I've been Ann.
And I've been Leah.
This is Tunnel Talk. Our theme is by Chris Corkin. You can find us on Twitter and Tumblr at Tunnel Talk Pod, via email, tunneltalkpod@gmail.com. We have merch available at choptees.com. You can find the link to that on our Twitter and our Tumblr. Anywhere. You can find us anywhere. You can find us on the Social Suplex Network feed, along with a lot of other great shows. You can find us on the Social Suplex Network Discord, where we hang out and listeners provide amazing memes for us. You can stay frosty if you have it in you. And you can and must come back next week.